Hey guys, welcome back to the Canada Puck Podcast, your now weekly, it's pretty good guys, recap what's going on in the world of sports, specifically hockey, and even more specifically in Canada. I'm your co-host Mick. You can find me on Twitter at ProfitMick, and I'm joined every episode by my lovely and talented co-host
Grant on Twitter at Fourth Line Sports. It's a little challenging this time of year. You know, March Madness, everybody's talking March Madness. You can't help but get sucked into the hoopla of it. Meanwhile, hockey's piddling along with really no playoff races. There's not even any intriguing playoff awards that I'm following along where, I really hope this happens. Everything kind of seems like it's a foregone conclusion, and there's 4 weeks left in the season.
Individual awards, I mean, they're stupid. They just kind of give awards anywhere, right? Like Roman Yossi with his play with Nashville, and they're on like a 16-game point streak or something like that since early January. He's definitely moving his way, maybe into like even the MVP, not even the Norris. So like he's almost got that locked down. Maybe in terms of goalies, you could have a conversation, right? But I mean, is it not Hellebuck?
It is Hellebuck.
Maybe Saros, right? Like, depending how Nashville, maybe you could make an argument for, like, Saros getting in there. But, like, those are the two best goalies. The point race, same thing. Matthews has kind of got the Richard lockdown unless Hyman or I think, like, Sam Reinhart go on a big streak and kind of outpace him the end of the year, which would be hard to believe. So, yeah, there's not a lot going on. Like, maybe the Hart Trophy we can have a fun conversation about, but hockey is so stupid with the Hart Trophy. I don't even know. I don't know who's going to win it this year. It's probably just...
It's 100% going to McKinnon. It is already written in stone that McKinnon is getting this trophy, and that's kind of the stupid part about it, is that people just want to reward certain players for performances. McKinnon's never won it. Maybe he is the best player in the league this year.
So right now, though, Kucherov has 122 points, McKinnon is back at 119, and McDavid is barking at 112, right? So you're saying just based on that Colorado was the best of the team, that it kind of goes to him?
It's the betting market. He's gone from plus 400 to plus 100, and now he's minus 400 to win the award. And this is over the last 6-8 weeks or so, something like that. So it just gets to this point where people just get resigned to saying this is the person who's the MVP, and it doesn't matter if Kucherov scores 100 points between now and the end of the season. People are like, well, it's still McKinnon. He had the best season for the biggest part of the year, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, I could see that.
That's the part that just chaps my ass the most, is seeing how this plays out year after year, and it's just, it's kind of stupid at this point. It's just a formality. Okay. They're going to give it to McKinnon, and that's that. All
right, well, for your sake then, Grant, I really hope, for your sake, because I'm a nice guy, I hope that Matthews gets another 13 goals, gets up to 70, and then we can have then he can kind of come back and win it, right? So that's what we want. Another Matthews Hart, so.
You know what? I would take that. If people are willing to concede that this is a monumental feat worthy of MVP in today's NHL, I would accept that over Nathan McKinnon not letting his friends have a fucking piece of cake after supper.
Yeah, he does seem kind of like he's kind of an asshole and shouldn't be rewarded for nice things. So, I do get that part of it. But I don't know where I was going with that.
Okay, then you fucking open this can of worms. I got something else to say. It's not even that he's a good person. If you're fucking an elite talent and a specimen, fight fairly. But every time there's some cheap shit on the ice and the Colorado Avalanche are involved, Nathan McKinnon is doing the greasiest stuff to just try and get an advantage. Be a man, Nathan McKinnon. Just do something above the line. Just be a fucking decent, rational human being.
I mean, McKinnon does need some love. He's kind of a loser. Remember that time when they were the 1 seed and they lost to the Flames in the first round? And I think they were swept by the Flames. Or when they lost to Seattle last year, this expansion team kind of out of nowhere beat them in the first round. So they're a bunch of kind of pathetic losers for having maybe the best defenseman of a generation on your team and being stacked on the top lines with the McKinnons and the Rantanens and the Landeskog's. He's kind of a fucking pathetic. He's not very good. He comes from a pedigree of losing, so maybe you could do something nice for him. Why don't we throw more shade at people? You know what I mean? Our memories are so short. You could tell me that the Toronto Maple Leafs, every record in the first year, Avalanche suck too. They're fucking terrible. They lost to
Yeah.
a really shitty Calgary Flames team. Like the team that they got swept against with Calgary, that wasn't a good squad. Like they were like barely into the postseason. And I'm like, no shade, nothing. We're not going to point fingers. We're just going to credit him because he does Tim Hortons commercials with Sidney Crosby. Fuck's sakes.
All right, I'm glad I've gotten the stoke the fires on your end too, because maybe that should be, we should just become the anti Nathan McKinnon pod. We not that we need a rebranding. Canada Puck's kind of thriving right
We
now.
could sit here and eat a Tim Hortons donut and be like, wow, this is so good. I feel like if they sponsored me, I'd probably let my teammates eat them and not be a fucking piece of shit about it.
I'm going to go through the Tim Hortons commercials with a fine-tooth comb and see if there's ever a scenario or a shot where he's having a bite of donut. And I'm just going to picture the filth of him spitting it out afterwards, like Krusty with his Krusty burgers.
Oh, God, that's disgusting. Speaking of playoff races, just alluded to, I said I had to pull up the standings. It looks like St. Louis is close, 4 points with a game back of Vegas. So there's a little bit in the West, and I think in the East, I don't know if there's a lot going on. It looks like, Rangers are in, being chased by the Capitals, and that's kind of about it. The Islanders currently sit 5 points out of a playoff spot, so...
The Metropolitan Division has just kind of beat themselves up. We don't get to talk about the Metropolitan Division, but it's just a matter. It feels like it's such an even playing field that nobody gets to make it. Like Pittsburgh to whoever the division leader is now. Is it Rangers still?
Yeah, so Rangers 96 points, Pittsburgh 69. Nice. Yeah. But even like the Flyers only have 79 and they're in third. So between third and last place is only a 10-point difference. So there could be if you're a Metropolitan fan, there is some maybe reason to check in on those games the rest of the season. But the rest of the divisions are kind of cut and dry. I don't think a lot else is happening, but...
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, just this parity has just made it kind of uninteresting.
Yeah.
Everything would need to go exactly right for the teams beneath Philadelphia to make a run.
Exactly. Yeah, we'd have to see some like big turmoil between like a captain and a coach or something, and like him just randomly healthy scratching him because he's like kind of like just has a piss poor attitude or something like that. I don't know. Something monumental like that would have to happen.
Oh man. There's the shade.
Yeah, there you go. So let's. There's a bit of a rant. We actually talked about hockey. That's pretty exciting. I wanted to kind of throw some shade at like the karma that happens, or not shade, just mention like the karma that happens in sports. Right? We always get bent out of shape on these events. Last episode, specifically, you were saying, "Oh, Vegas, how do they get away with this time and time?" And I'm like, if things are happening that aren't on the level, karma gets a lot of people in sports, right? Like, how many titles did LeBron James win in Miami? 2? Wasn't he claiming 6 at some point, right? Aaron Rodgers going to the Jet, the superstar team. What happens? Blows his Achilles. 4th play of the game, like the season opener. Interesting. Shohei Ohtani defers all this money. The Dodgers are going to have this dynasty. Oh, what's that? Maybe he's doing illicit gambling? Oh, is he going to be the next Pete Rose? Probably. Cool. Karma. It's a bitch. It comes for you. So Vegas, keep your head up.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure... Well, like, actually... Vegas does have the advantage because there's a lot of karmas that work in Vegas, so maybe there's like a tax thing that balances it out.
Yeah, I don't want to put myself in the middle of whatever energies are swirling around Vegas, but you brought it up. We have to talk about it. Shohei Ohtani. No wonder he deferred his entire salary. Otherwise, it would be spent by now. Imagine if they gave him $100 million in a signing bonus. Guess what? He would have bet on himself to win MVP. That money would have been spent.
Ooh, what's that? I bet, yeah. Some of the reports, I don't know anything this fact. I did see someone that was doing some deep diving and pulling up some of the alleged gambling references and just his performance in those specific games, and they seem very uncharacteristic. Like, and I'm like, oh, he's definitely guilty. Like, if there's merit behind this, like, he's Pete Rose for now on, and it couldn't happen to a nicer group of people like those Dodgers. Oh, that just fills my little heart with joy.
Poor Dodgers. Are you talking about the Timmy Smokes thread on Twitter?
I think
because
so.
That's what I was looking at too. I was like, this is very damning if true.
That's the thing. That's the one where it's there were some bets made from Shohei Ohtani's hometown on an offshore account of millions of dollars that faded, like multiple like overs and runs and like covering. Right, I think it was the Giants I saw, and they covered. There was like a -3.5 spread or something like that. Ohtani struck out, went 0-4, and was just horrific off the mound, right? So you're like, that's the one?
The Padres, it was Padres. He gave up like 6 runs, and it was a run line bet that Shohei against for the opposite team that Ohtani just pooped himself.
Yeah. So it's getting worse and worse. So again, if those are true, bye. Thanks for knowing you. But
doesn't it become so much easier to hate the Dodgers now? Like after their off season that they had, and there was a time in recent history where I was rooting for them when they had Verdugo and Bellinger and Kershaw, just like homegrown talent where they were just doing well. Yep. I was invested.
Yep.
And then they go out and spend hundreds of millions of dollars, basically bribe the best player in the league to come play for them and say, we're going to pay you literally until you die. I don't know. It's just I'm glad that things have gone the way that they are, and all this hate is validated.
It happens a lot in baseball. Remember at one point when the Astros were kind of a scrappy team, and we're like, oh, Jose Altuve, just like a good contact hitter, best to play the game, doesn't even need any outside feedback. It's just all in his brain. Like he just processes it at such a high level. It's like he's in 2 places at once. It's so strange. Like, it seems to settle, and like happens a lot in baseball. So maybe Vegas, you're fine because karma doesn't care about hockey. But like, oh boy,
I'm gonna get this wrong now because I'm just spitballing off the top of my head. But didn't Houston also steal the St. Louis Cardinals draft database, and that's how they drafted all these players? Or was it the other way around? Did St. Louis steal Houston? I think Houston stole.
I mean, that would make, if you're talking about like history of a franchise, I would say that the Cardinals probably draft better than the Astros. So that would make sense.
Well, that is until 2017 when those sheets were leaked.
Yep, that's so strange. So with that, Vegas. Oh, I thought I almost turned this around. Was going to get us on track. No, I forgot what I was going to say. That's too bad.
There's no natural segue then, other than saying we bet on hockey and we bet on sports. Or we bet on sports and we bet on hockey.
Yeah. Shane Pinto, you lost half a season because you had your mom place a bet for you in Ontario when you were doing a preseason game in Florida. Shohei Ohtani, I'm sure like a 30, 40 game suspension will kind of right the ship a little bit. So,
yep.
That's how corruption works. Something baseball, something, I don't know.
Yeah. Be good at something and you'll be fine.
There you go.
Unfortunately, on the Canada Puck podcast, we're actually bad at everything. Mm-hmm. But you're the one listening to us, so joke's on you.
Suckers. So with that, let's get back into hockey. So I've got the reverse orders of the standings. We're going to scroll up. When we hit Canadian teams, we're going to talk about them a little bit. Not a lot is going on, so we'll kind of just quickly look over their schedule, I think, for the most part, and get on some gambling. Maybe look at some boobs. It's going to be a good Saturday morning. I think it's probably the Senators, if I'm scrolling up from the bottom. Where did they land? Have they won it? Oh, they're 28th. They still are terrible. Great. Ottawa Senators. Have you done anything in the last week? 'Cause I bet you haven't.
I'm going to hazard a guess they haven't either. I looked at them briefly this morning, and I was impressed with their on-ice product, but it has not translated to any real tangible successes. And probably for the sake of the Senators, that's a good thing. If the last thing you want to do is pull the Montreal Canadiens or Calgary Flames and just shoot yourself up the standings and rob yourself of any chance of having a top pick.
Yeah. If you suck and you're in the bottom 5, you should lose to the Carolinas, the Bostons, and St. Louis. I'm noticing a lot of goals for. I'm guessing their goaltending situation isn't great. I don't know. Maybe that Elvis Merzlikins is just not the answer. That's weird. He's probably hurt. Korpisalo. Okay. The other guy went somewhere else. They're like the same guy. They're both just crappy from Columbus. Senators.
European netminders that with like 8 vowels in their name or consonants in their name. Yeah, you're right.
Sometimes it works. Bobrovsky. Just the wrong one. Oh, look at that. I only had to go up 1 to 27th overall. And we get to the Montreal Canadiens. 62 points on the season, and since last week they beat Columbus and they lost to the Leafs and the Bruins. Oh, and apparently that was a while ago. The Flames, maybe? They lost to the Flames last week, and the Oilers and the Canucks. So cool. You've lost all the Canadian teams.
Let the Canadian teams run train on the Canadians.
Right.
That's kind of the irony that we deserve, I suppose. But nothing. The only noteworthy, maybe you know about this. Martin St. Louis, he left the team. Was that start of the week, something like that? Anyways, I was wondering if you've heard anything. Sometimes you hear things that I don't hear.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I haven't heard anything on that outside of maybe it was a personal matter. And I mean, if you're tanking, tank, right? Like, who's the best person, the best product, the most NHL ready aspect of the Montreal Canadiens? It's your quality coach. So if you want to tank, like, yeah, absolutely, pull them out the door. You don't need those like loser points.
Yep. It's best for everybody if you avoid the climb up the standings.
Yeah, like just like start cleaning out the lockers, make sure they're nice and squeaky clean, and just run out the clock here and plan some nice vacations. So cool. But that's pretty fast, guys. We got through the two bottom teams very quickly. That means we're pulling up Puck Doku for today, and we're going to have a little Puck Doku challenge. What we're going to have to do is we each get 3 attempts. We're like golf. We're going for the lowest statistical score, so lowest percent score after kind of 3 guesses. A miss counts as 50%, and we're going to go from there. So today we have up and down. We've got the Red Wings, the Canucks, and Steve Yzerman teammate. Okay. And then across the top, we have a 1990 to 91 versus the 1990 season to 99 to 2000. Born outside North America, and 2+ teams played for in a season.
Does that mean 2 or more than 2? It's got to be 2 or more.
2+ teams played in a season or more. Yeah, sure. Okay.
This is interesting and very achievable. It's immediately your brain starts to work in mysterious ways where you're like, how do I get the lowest possible score?
Yeah.
Because there's been some real doozies that have worked their way through.
Sure.
Like, Detroit is probably the model of European players. Like, for the last 30 years, all they've done is poach European players and made their franchise successful. Now it's just a matter of picking the lowest one.
Yeah. Well, and some of these, too. There was one the other day, I think my highest score was like a 13, and all the rest were like under 5. But it was just because there was such a variety. Like, you throw anything at the wall and it kind of sticks. So, but do you want to lead off?
You know what? You go ahead. You take the honors today.
Oh, I get the honors, eh? I don't know if I could fill that square, so I'll just leave that one. So let's look at one of those. So 2 teams play for. So really all you have to do is have just been traded by that team in a season. Let's go with... I don't know if he actually played, so I don't think that would count. So we're not going to go with him. Red Wings or Canucks, postseason acquisition. Let's go with... Oh, this is tough, Grant. Now I don't know anything. I'm going to go with Roberto Luongo. Do you think Luongo is a low score for the Canucks? Sure. I know he plays there, so... Roberto. 6%. Okay, all right.
All right. I'm digging. As alluded to, I'm going Red Wings, born outside North America. There's so many players that came to mind for this one, and all of them, I was like, people are going to remember the Zetterbergs and the Fedorovs. But I don't know if everybody's going to be thinking of Vladimir Konstantinov. And it's Konstantinov with a K. So like K-O-N, Stantinov.
K-O-N, Stan... and you want Vladimir from 1991 to 97.
Guy.
All right. 6%.
6%.
What? Did you just pull out Vladimir Konstantinov out of your ass?
And 6% of people?
Also,
that's the part that hurts the most.
That's
6% of people also thought of this guy.
So like that's like a name like you just pulled like alphabet soup out of your butt, and I'm like, Luongo. I don't know. He's like he was a captain for a while. Oh my gosh! All right. Well, I'm still alive. I really thought that I was like, I just need to put something on the board here and get it going, and apparently that was the correct answer. So sick. All right, Montreal, Ottawa. We don't have to talk about you anymore, so we're gonna go to. Oh, I think I screwed up the order when I pulled these up. I think we're going to scroll a bunch. Click, 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 click goes my little mouse to 22nd overall. So hanging out around the same area as the New Jersey Devils and Buffalo Sabres is the Calgary Flames. Calgary, I think you won last week against the Habs. You lost to the Capitals. A bit of a break, and you get the Canucks tonight. So
when we talked about this team a few weeks ago, we were talking about them being in sell mode, and you specifically said... Sell Jacob Markstrom. He's never going to play better. And you know what has happened since then? Over his last 10 starts, maybe it's 9 starts, an 87.8 save percentage is 8 starts now that I think about it. And somehow the Flames, I think the record doesn't really reflect this. But anyways, they have chosen to hang on to Jacob Markstrom for all the wrong reasons. And they are going to be in such a worse spot moving forward because of it.
Is he a UFA, or is there money remaining on that contract?
He's got 2 years left, not just next year, but the year after. And instead of getting you got prime Markstrom for 6 months. This was the best he's played since he's a Flame, arguably. And then all of a sudden he goes back to normal, and now you're left holding the bag of a $6 million contract for a goalie who's going to give you an 87% save percentage moving forward.
That move perplexes me to almost no end because of just the nature of the situation, right? You have 2 years left of this guy who's been struggling this whole contract. 6-year deal. There's been maybe 2-3 flashes. He was the reason you didn't make the postseason last year, right? He gave up so many early goals. He set them back. Maybe it was even 2 seasons ago. He's probably part of the reason that the Kachucks and the Gaudreaus left. So he's single-handedly wrecking your franchise, and you keep him? What about you have this super uber prospect coming up with Dustin Wolf? Why wouldn't you trade him and then just sign some veteran guy to come in and just be we just want you to just nurture this kid. Your job is just to make Dustin Wolf's life as easy as possible in the city. That's all you have to do. But instead you're well, I don't want to be bullied into my players leaving town. Craig Conroy, I don't know if that's what I sound like, but
I imagine a manly man like Craig Conroy.
I'm going to back down from this. I won't trade with Brad Treliving. A first and a top prospect? No thanks. I'd rather take a second and a lesser end prospect for Chris Tanev. Thank you very much. Oh, okay. Cool, sweet. Yeah, all right.
Well thought out, Craig Conroy.
Yeah, good.
Prove your point.
Stupid. Awful move. Awful move. He was gone. People were going to pay you to take him. It's the difference. Calgary and Montreal are the difference of management of you can get a first and you can get 2 firsts for Sean Monahan, and Calgary can't properly manage a goalie situation. You know what I mean? It's just...
Yeah, you hang on to a goalie for nothing and make your franchise
that's
first.
Probably going to struggle, and that's the thing. Where are you going? At least get Markstrom out the door. Guess what? There's another probably goalie out there you can give a bunch of money to. You could probably call up Ottawa and be like, hey, that Corpusalo guy looks sick. Can we get him? And they'd be like, oh, yeah, sure. Here's a 5th.
Edmonton, go to fucking Jack Campbell. You save yourself $1 million, and you get a goalie who's on a better trajectory.
Cool.
In the best part of his career.
Great. Awesome. Jack Campbell, let's make you a reclamation project. You're smiling. You're kind of a cute guy. We could probably sell you to fans. Done.
Yeah,
awesome.
Guess what? We just did these good things with Dustin Wolf. We can help you get back on track, too. No, we're going to hang on to Jacob Markstrom and his 87% save percentage.
Well, Calgary, on the plus side, at least he's not going to be rewarded by making the playoffs. So, karma.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to have to keep scrolling up. So that was 20. I think we skipped the whole team. So between 21 to probably 10 before we see another Canadian team, which is, oh no, I spoiled it. So Oilers at 9 and Leafs at 10. So, oops. So, top 10 team, Toronto Maple Leafs. What's been going on? I think you lost to Carolina last week, lost to Philadelphia on Tuesday, and then beat the Capitals. And you get the Oilers tonight.
What a journey this team has been on. I don't know. It seems like, I don't want to say consistency's holding them back, because that's kind of been their MO this year. We're not getting full send Toronto Maple Leafs night after night. For whatever reason, this is just the way that they're playing hockey. That's fine. We can accept that. But we do need to talk about the absence of Mitch Marner, because I think that's impacting their competitiveness.
That's absolutely it. He's been missing since one of the Boston games. Whatever game where he had the shot at the open net, I think it was the second Boston game, and then he kind of went around the net and just fell down and hurt himself. That's the injury. If you watch that play, he just kind of awkwardly goes onto the ice. High ankle sprain. So yeah, being out, and it just changes the whole narrative of this team, right? How they play offense, how they play defense. He's such an integral part of this unit that's where you're seeing these kind of lapses too, right? They played pretty well against Carolina last week, couldn't hold on to the lead, right? They just kind of got outworked in the last little bits. And then other than that, they've been playing pretty good hockey outside of the time they beat up the Bruins and the Tuesday game against the Flyers. I saw the end of it. Pretty close affair, pretty tight, and listening some analysis afterwards, it was apparently like a one-sided game and just Toronto couldn't hit the net. Like it was one of those things where it was like 25 high danger shots to 7 and you lose 4-3. So like, what do you do about that game, right? That happens and it's just kind of like, shrug, move on.
Yeah, and I think I don't know what to make of this because generally, like the skill players, not that they're not performing, but like other than Austin Matthews, William Nylander's not really doing William Nylander things right now. Do you have any concerns or apprehensions about this team with this kind of, we'll call it a slump at the worst time of year?
Is it a slump? They're like 3-2 and 3-1-1 in their last 5. Is that a slump?
Their metrics, as you mentioned, their production is great.
Play on the ice,
scoring is down.
Yeah, and that is a product of probably losing a Mitch Marner, right? And then just even some of the nature of the game. But I like John Tavares is playing some of the better hockey. He's looking a bit more confident. I think Nylander's on like a 5-game point streak or something like that, right? Matthews had a 5-point game the other night, so no. It does look like they're doing a lot of work actually with the role players. So in terms of Bertuzzi and Domi, if you're on Leafs Twitter, they're getting a lot of love right now. These guys are chipping in. They're playing with the top guys. And this is the first time we've seen cohesion from other players outside of like maybe a Ryan O'Reilly or something like that with the core 4 in a while, right? So the fact that we now have like 6 players, right? Maybe you have 3 lines. You have some depth play with the Leafs. They're definitely a different squad, but I don't know. It didn't work before, so why not try something different, right? I have no issues right now with the way the Leafs are playing. It's just kind of a... Also, what are you playing for, right? You're up.
That's fair.
You're up. You have games in hand, and you're up 5-6 points over Tampa, and like you're chasing the 2 best teams in the league in Florida and Boston. So it's kind of one of those things like we're third. Just let us be an underdog, and if we fall into a wild card spot, maybe we go beat up on the Rangers for a season, right? Like,
Fair. The point, I will say this more explicitly, they've been held to 1 or fewer goals at 5-on-5 in 4 of their last 8. So that's kind of what I was alluding to say. It looks like 5-on-5 scoring has decreased, at least, and I don't watch a whole bunch of Leafs.
Gotcha. Yeah, that is literally just Mitch Marner not being there, and Sheldon Keefe's, he just likes to tinker. There's never a game where it looks like if something's working one game, a line's working one game, it's completely different the next game. So he's like, well, I just like to see I like to change the chemistry and change the boys up. So that doesn't help when you don't have a consistent line mate for multiple games, right? Of course, that's going to drop a little bit because guys are trying to figure stuff out still. So
Sheldon Keefe looks like a guy who's a little nervous too. I don't know what he's. Anyways, he's been a little bit more dismissive of media. Maybe this is just a byproduct of coaching Toronto for however many years it's been.
Well, it's kind of.
But he seems more irritable, maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's kind of like, we're going to give you this season, like you have full go, but if things don't go well, you're done. You're gone, right? So, and there are some pretty good candidates on the market this summer, right? So that's one of the names I've heard around. Is the Leafs have lots of big pockets, right? So,
don't you dare go to Jay Woodcroft because.
Oh no, I heard Rod Brindamore. That was the name I heard, and I was like,
what? Rod Brindamore?
Yeah, contract done in Carolina. Come big lights. We can give you a big contract. You want to make big bucks? Like Babcock money, right? Give him a big deal.
So at Brindamore too, he wants his assistant coaches to get paid more. And that's been a tipping point with the Hurricanes. I don't know if you heard this. I think it was Elliot Friedman. Anyways, could you imagine if Carolina's coaching staff just up and left Carolina and took over Toronto? Could you imagine? Oh, God.
Think about it all the time. See, I told you I'd do nice things for you and make you feel better about yourself today.
You're going to get Austin Matthews doing the LeBron count. Yeah. I'm not talking about 1 championship or 2 or 3.
Don't do it, Austin! Karma! Don't you remember the fans chanting, "We want Florida"? No!
Mick walks up on stage and just slaps Austin Matthews.
Damn it.
No, I don't talk like that.
I loved you. What does he say to Vito and the Godfather? Walk up to him and kiss him, and he's like, "I know it was you. I loved you." All right. Puckdoku. Back at Puckdoku. All right. We're both sitting at our 6%. I have no idea what to expect at any point. I'm just going to throw out random names because, I think today is just a random day. I'm going to go European that played for Vancouver. Sammy Salo. That seems like a
6'3" Finnish defender Sami Salo.
3%. Oh boy, in his picture is fucking beauty. Look at that receding hairline and that goofy grin. All right, Grant, can you beat 3%?
Detroit. I'm going this guy. I think R.I.P. Darren McCarty. Darren McCarty patrolling the Detroit ice for at least part of the 90s. Darren McCarty, 1990 to 2000. Detroit Red Wings.
Darren McCarty. 4%. I have a
4%.
I have a 1 point
Ooh.
lead. Wow. All right. This has never happened before, everyone. This is unheralded. We said nice things about Austin Matthews twice in this show, and the Leafs. Like, Grant gave me time to talk about the Leafs. Normally he's just like, oh, Leafs. He's like, I think they're playing the Oilers. Hey, they're next. Okay. All right. Edmonton Oilers. They're 9th, so pretty close to the Leafs. They're like a point ahead, game in hand. Playing tonight. Bit of a bigger game on for Hockey Night in Canada. It's kind of nice. And how have they been doing? I think they lost to the Avalanche last week and then won against Montreal and Buffalo this week.
So when I was the pointed question I asked you about, do you have any concerns? That might have been me projecting, because I have some concerns about what's going on in Edmonton right now. Specifically, despite playing at home for at least most of the past couple weeks, they have been outplayed in 4 of their past 5, and they've struck this unsustainable balance where you're consistently getting outplayed, but you're still winning games. And it just creates this massive wedge that basically it inevitably leads to regression. So that's where I'm at in my life right now. I don't think that the Oilers are positioned well enough to going into the playoffs. They still have some runway to get things figured out, but the last thing that you want to do is kind of inflate your metrics beyond sustainable, beyond sustainability, and then all of a sudden, start of April, everything comes crashing down. So I'm worried about how things are going to play out here over the next few weeks.
Okay, interesting. From what I've seen, that's it. Big stories, at least from my side of the world, not coming from kind of Oilers Nation there, is Zach Hyman has a chance of getting his 50 goals of the season. So he's at 48, playing in Toronto tonight. There was a story when apparently William Nylander was asked in the morning skate about it, and he said, no, not tonight, not in Toronto. We won't allow that. So the most cursed franchise. Basically, you're tempting God right now, William. So we're going to find out what those old Swedish gods think of, old Swedish hockey gods exactly, will say of this. So I definitely would say if you have same-game parlays and can bet on a Zach Hyman goal, that's probably pretty easy money tonight. Oh, baby.
Yeah, I don't know if I tempt Norse gods. That's kind of the ones that you want to stay most away from. So William Nylander definitely playing with fire and lightning and volcanoes and everything, really. But all that being said, we'll chat more about this. Maybe Zach Hyman performs well. It would be nice to see him get 50 goals. He's one of those kids where everywhere he goes, everybody roots for Zach Hyman. So happening in Toronto is kind of it's the poetic ending that kind of Hyman deserves, but we'll see how it all plays out in the end.
Cool. And it's always fun when you see 2 of the better players play in the league, right? Whether they be McKinnon or Kucherovs or the McDavids or the Matthews. So hopefully there's a pretty good show tonight, and I'm always hoping for like I'd love a high scoring game too, right? 5-6 or something like that. Overtime, some dramatics, be fun.
Marquee matchup, without question.
Yeah.
2 of the biggest franchises with 2 of the biggest superstars. This is it.
Until it's Saturday night, and then the Oilers win 27-0 because you're like, oh yeah, the Leafs just suck on Saturday. I don't know what it is about Saturday. They just don't like it. I know. Yeah.
We are going to be on opposite ends of this coin in Bettor Advice.
Great, awesome.
That's okay.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm glad we're there. We have to go 1 point. One spot in the standings to 8th, and then we get to the Winnipeg Jets. I was not expecting that. I thought they're up a little bit higher, but clearly they've started to slip and fall. And oh man, Winnipeg, is the sky crashing? What's happening?
I don't so I just pulled up the score because I knew they had an afternoon contest. Not off to a good start right now. They're down 4-1 to the Islanders. And this kind of flies in the face of what I was about to provide, and that is they are playing exceptionally well defensively, and we're going to give all the credit to Connor Hellebuck. I was just talking about 5-on-5 scoring with the Maple Leafs. Listen to this. Connor Hellebuck has held 4 of his last 6 opponents to 0 goals at 5-on-5. That's astounding. And when we talked about Hart Trophy, I intentionally didn't mention this. Sorry, when we talked about Hart Trophy at the start of the show, I intentionally didn't talk about Connor Hellebuck because I wanted to save it for the Jets segment. Connor Hellebuck is the actual Hart Trophy winner. And I know every once in a while we talk about like the actual wording of the Hart Trophy where, you know, we award it to the most valuable player, but it's actually the most valuable player to his team. That's what's engraved on the Hart Trophy. And I promise you there is nobody more valuable to his team than Connor Hellebuck, because what he's doing right now is exactly the type of performance that we see year after year. And I say it year after year. A hot goalie carries a team further than they deserve to go in the playoffs. Connor Hellebuck can be that guy.
Sick. Cool. Yeah, I agree. They're playing well. The other story that's coming out of Winnipeg is apparently their season ticket holdings, or maybe their overall ticket sales are down about 27%. And apparently in Gary Bettman's NHL, losing ticket sales is no good. So they've actually been warned. The ownership has been told that with the decline, there's potential of relocation of this team. So if the market can't sustain this team, you can't just like keep limping along, Winnipeg. You've been selling out ever since we relocated you there 10 years ago. You slip up once, though, that's it. It's a one-strike policy. No tolerance. That's nonsense. So be careful. I realize that your lowest tickets right now are like $300, and the good people of Winnipeg are probably also having some type of economical issues. So, yeah, like maybe not going to the Jets game is the top of everyone's priority list. But that's it. You only get one. And that's Gary Bettman's... And that's the bottom line, because Gary Bettman said so.
Okay, so and I get Gary Bettman already has arena deals lined up in El Paso, Huntsville, Alabama, all of the southern meccas, so that Winnipeg Jets are on notice. This is it, your last chance. You have 3 weeks to get your ticket sales up. Otherwise, it's soon going to be the New Mexico Jets.
That's it. This is your last warning.
God, that guy's such a fucking dick.
Yeah, he really is. He really, really is. All right, so back to a final round of Puck Doku. I got a 1% lead. Oh, baby. I don't know where we're going to go with this one, folks. Let's go with... I don't know the exact origins or when he started playing with this team. And this might be bad, Grant. I might be going out on a limb, and I don't know if this is a limb I really should be on. Vancouver Canucks, 2000 season. Did Dan Cloutier, was he a goalie for Vancouver in that season? That's where I'm at, and that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Dan Cloutier. I think he was definitely there in like 2004. Was he there for a couple seasons? Oh, I don't know. Do you have a guess? Am I right or wrong?
I'm debating. I think you're right. I think it's right on the cusp.
Like probably, I think 99 like is kind of what I'm going for. Dan Cloutier is wrong. No! All right, Grant. Well, as long as you don't get a miss, then you win.
I was gonna go not risky, but I think I have somebody who's a Steve Yzerman teammate who played outside of North America.
Sure.
I think his name's Dominic Hasek.
Yep. Okay. Dominic. Yeah, those ones are tough too. I was like, man, you could do like anyone, but like 8%.
8%.
8%. Okay. I don't know why we were overthinking. Really? And like Vladimir freaking Konstantin is 6%?
This is kind of fucking this. I was surprised at every one of these numbers. Like I thought I was getting like 1, 2, 3% players.
Let's just go Pavel Bure. What do you think Pavel Bure hits for like the Canucks? 17%. Okay. All right. So we have two more guesses.
2+ teams played for with Detroit Red Wings. Sam Gagner got traded there partway through a season.
1%. Okay. All right.
Damn it. Why? Picking wrong here.
Yeah, I also had one. I was like, I kind of had this like in my head where I'm like Patrick Eves. I feel like he was traded for at the deadline, but I'm like, I feel as confident as that as like a random goalie pick for the Canucks. So, and then two teams played for it in a season. That's a tougher one. Like any Red Wing from the 90s. Chelios.
Sure, Chelios. Go Chelios.
Chelios. What was he? 3%.
Oh man,
that is a classic case of overthinking it, ladies and gentlemen, right there. Like, look at those scores up there, and everyone was a stretch in my mind. And cool, great, awesome.
Chelios is 3%. That just fucking blows my mind.
What was like? Why was I going off the board? Why wasn't I just being like, oh, it's the most obvious answer? Oh, I guess
Vladimir Konstantinov, it was more than Chelios. To me, that makes no sense.
Oh no, I can't go back. I can't show all the percents. No.
Yoko isn't the best for this. It's kind of a big pain in the ass.
I do like though that maybe it's like a block up that's like being. No, it's just not. Oh, maybe view stats. I'm just curious. So we get to that page where it says view stats. We kind of like click. Oh, Steve Yzerman. That was a pretty good guess for a Red Wing that played in the 90s. Cool. Yeah, so Steve Yzerman, Brendan Shanahan was 8%. Then Nicholas Lidstrom, Fedorov, Chris Osgood, Draper. So if you went with any of those, you would have had an 8, 8, 7, 7, or 5%.
Some of these names where I guess when the category is this broad and the Red Wings maybe do have some memorable names.
Oh, Todd Bertuzzi. That was going to be my second one. I went with the goalie instead. 4%. Oh. Okay. Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, Puck Doku, I'll just never win you. I mean, today there's technically no reason to win because it's not like I get an extra pick, so it's really just pride, and I don't have any pride, so I don't care about that. Just like Vancouver Canucks should have no pride. They're second in the league. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. 1 point off the pace of the Bruins, tied with the Rangers, and ahead of the Avalanche. So Vancouver, you guys won a bunch of games, I'm guessing? You lost to the Capitals, you beat the Sabres, and you beat Montreal. You get the Flames tonight. Cool.
Listening to this scheduling, this is a team I took a quick peek at this morning. Vancouver, it's March, so kind of a time when intensity is amplified, there's more at stake. These things happen where it's just like, you just feel it. Games just have more pressure. They played 9 games in a row at home. Does that seem fucky timing to you? 9 games at like the most crucial time of year where they're just at home. They've been home since for the past 3 weeks, and they finished the month here before they go on a road trip. So I don't know what they did. I don't know if Rick Tocchet paid the right people. Yeah. We know he's into this type of thing. Maybe he paid Gary Bettman and was like, here, we just need a 9-game home stretch from all of March to just help build our confidence ahead of the playoffs.
Well,
and
I mean, their schedule has just been silly all season, right? Like, they started off playing the Sharks 12 times in the first 13 games. Everyone's like, wow, they're great. And I'm like, no, they're just playing the Sharks too often. And even later on in the season, it's not like their schedule's got a lot harder. So it just seems odd.
Yeah, and I think, so I'm looking ahead, thinking about...
Because and the NHL in my mind is, as far as I know, even. There's not the thing in football where you play different teams based on how you rank. So the schedule can vary from season. In theory, hockey should just be you play the same number against every division, right? It has nothing to do with previous standings.
And this is the part where it seems like the favor, scheduling favor, has been tilted towards Vancouver.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that's happened. But looking ahead, and this is a part that I wanted to mention, I can't help but think that this is just setting them up for, and I will preface this, we hate Vancouver. We actually don't like you at all. Mm-hmm. I can't help but think that it's just setting them up for a first round disappointment. Imagine if they stack up against Nashville in the first round. I don't know.
I really want to see a Vegas Vancouver first round series personally. I was like, Well, although I guess Vegas, Colorado would be satisfying too, because then some jerk is definitely not making it.
But the other side of that is one jerk is making it. I'd rather have hope that both of them are getting knocked out in the first round.
Yeah, karma, Vancouver. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. You're still playing fairly well? I've literally heard nothing about the Canucks. They're very silent. Oh, Elias Lindholm apparently is just playing terrible since the trade. So you gave up a first, a top 6 forward, a prospect for a guy who's not playing very well. And I won't play for your team because you were going to trade him to Boston. So
yeah, you were going to trade him anyways. Good God, what a misman. And we talk about Mr. Craig Conroy. What do you think Vancouver's GM sounds like? Probably a lot more soft. I can't think of a soft one.
A bit more of a yokel, maybe a twang.
So.
Yeah, that's smart there. Maybe something about like, well, the twang. He's got a bit of a twang. Maybe thinks his cousin's attractive. Southern guy? We don't know.
We got to workshop this. Yeah, we got to workshop.
We got to workshop
GM voices.
Yeah, I should maybe write something on the wall. I have a whole wall behind me I could like put notes on. Never do. So I'm always looking down here. All right, cool. So that wraps up the world that is. So kind of pulling the standings up quickly, as we alluded to kind of at the beginning. Nothing crazy. St. Louis is kind of knocking on Vegas' door. Probably, I think they were sellers at the trade deadline, so probably not going to go well. And then the Metropolitan Division. So other than that, not a lot of playoff races, but we'll try and stick it out and tough it out with you guys and keep you up to date.
Look, it's the playoffs are on the horizon, and nothing rivals hockey playoffs. The intensity, just the glory that is involved with NHL playoffs is light years ahead of
I'm a little disappointed that I'm going to miss out on my fight with my mother-in-law about what time can Easter dinner be because there's a Leafs playoff game.
Oh.
So early Easter kind of gets that away. So that's one of my favorite parts of Easter is trying to get out of family dinner to watch hockey.
Just Creighton Blue Jays. You're now a Creighton Blue Jays fan.
You know what? I don't think they actually know. I could probably just lie and make stuff up. Like, oh yeah, that's the playoff game. That's a big one. Game 78 of the regular season. Sitting down and watching Toronto Columbus like the world matters or something. All right, that's what's going on. We have some gambling advice for you guys though. So we did this last weekend, or 2 weekends ago.
Two records ago. Not last record, but record before that.
Okay, cool. So what we did is we take 100 theoretical dollars on a Saturday morning, sprinkle it on the games throughout Saturday night, afternoon, and keep track of how we're doing. So currently Grant's up on me by about 46 something. So pretty close. I'm at 206. He's at 253. So almost went big last time. He was very close to winning $4,000, but it only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. So.
And I'm not putting any shine on today's. I'm not saying I'm replicating, but I am saying I have 5 picks. How many do you have?
3.
Okay, I'll shoot first then. And I'm going to get this before you put your shine on this one, so fuck you, Mick. Toronto Maple Leafs, Edmonton Oilers, hockey's mecca, hockey night in Canada. This is as big as it gets for regular season games, I would say. Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews, everybody's tuning into this. I just mentioned this in the Oilers segment. They are not as good as their record implies. They continue to get outplayed. Now they're taking their donkey show on the road. I am rooting for Zach Hyman. It would be fucking awesome if he got to 50 goals in his former, and he's Toronto native too, or if not, he's Ontario native. So getting to do this at home is as special as it could get. So I am hoping for Zach Hyman, but I am taking a substantial stake both in this game and otherwise, in the Toronto Maple Leafs walking away victorious. For our gambling purposes, I've got 5 picks, so I had to spread it out a little bit. $25 at plus 116 to win 29.
All right, so you're going to go Toronto. I am going to parlay. I'm going to do a same-game parlay on that game. I like Zach Hyman over 0.5 goals. Parlay just with Edmonton to win. For $50, I can win $178 on that play. So I like that play. I think the Zach Hyman juice, it just, again, hockey night in Canada. I wouldn't be surprised if, I think it's going to happen. It just seems like that's one of those things that happens against the Leafs, especially hockey, big mecca like we were talking about, showdown. So I really like that play, and then just throw that on whoever you like. So whether it's the Oilers or the Leafs, add some juice to your ticket. I don't know if that's a terrible play. So that's going to be my first one.
I do like Zach Hyman as an anytime goal scorer. I'm going to bang off 2 right now and save one more for after. Anyways, I got 2 right now. Both of them are ties. Florida at New York Rangers. I think these are the 2 division leaders in the Atlantic Metropolitan Division. And the line reflects how competitive this game's going to be. It's basically a pick of minus 110 on either side. Rangers are great. Panthers are great. This could very well be foreshadowing the Eastern Conference Final. Yeah. I suspect that it's got to be one of those games that gets sorted out in overtime for no other reason that it's just 2 exceptionally skilled teams. And the price, again, reflects this. Plus 330. that this game goes to a shootout or overtime or a shootout. A little lower than I typically play these numbers, but sometimes you got that funny feeling. So $20 to win 66. Likewise, another overtime bet. Saturday night, Hockey Night in Canada. Everybody knows that this is one of my preferred avenues for pursuing overtime bets. Calgary at Vancouver, plus 380, $20 to win 76. Calgary's playing good, Vancouver's playing good, and I would like nothing more for Calgary to just pull off the upset. Not that the Oilers, they should do the Oilers any favors, but this would be a big solid and close that gap for Edmonton to try and make up some ground in the Pacific Division.
Perfect. And you just have the Flames winning straight up, not overtime.
No, sorry, overtime.
Oh,
so
overtime. Okay.
380 that this game goes to overtime or a shootout.
Okay,
so
cool. Yeah, I just missed that point when I was writing it down. The numbers made more sense for an overtime, but just to confirm. For myself, I have a two-way parlay. I like to pick favorites a little bit. Detroit, I had a reasoning for this. Just came off of a 6-game losing streak. I believe Dylan Larkin just returned with a multiple goal night. They're going up against the Predators. Yeah, we were talking about the Predators being on a 16-game point streak. Some point you're going to slip, guys. You're a little bit more comfortable in a spot. Maybe you don't have your back up against the wall. The Red Wings are close to that point, though, where it is do or die. So I love taking them, parlaying them with just the Rangers to come up on top of that Florida matchup as well. $25 to win $112.25 is my second play. Rangers and Red Wings.
I think Red Wings are playing terribly right now, but I wish you the best of luck with that wager.
Oh, I'm definitely like leaning into the skid. Like there's nothing being like, I think it's going this way. I'm just like, I just have a feeling.
Well, gotta ride those instincts. Another plus money line play for me, Ottawa at New Jersey. Senators, like you said, they're not as bad as you think that they would be, and the Devils are not as good as you think that they would be. So I'm kind of just betting that these waves collide. Ottawa's playing good hockey. Devils playing bad hockey. I know I mentioned Ottawa's stats earlier in our conversation. I'm not going to repeat those. But Devils been outplayed in 4 of their last 7. They're also home after a bit of a road swing, so they're settling in. It seems maybe like a bit of a flat spot for them. $25 to win $32.50 back in the Senators.
32.
And you know what? I'll just fucking wrap this up. You parlay all 4 of those picks together. I got $10 left. $10 to win $1,015.40.
All right. So that for myself. I also have a parlay. It's not all my picks together though. I kind of just went, what are some things that would piss me off? So I have like a piss me off parlay. So if all these things happen, I'm not going to be the happiest boy, but I'll be a little bit richer. So Vancouver, Vegas, and Chicago all winning tonight. 3 teams that, oh boy, just like if they lost, I'd be much more grateful than having that extra $25 in my pocket. So I'm going to go I just kind of hate these teams at the moment. Vancouver, Chicago, Vegas, $25 to win $88.75.
I dig it.
And just for reference, I think Vegas, I'm going against the Sharks, the Blue Jackets, and the Flames. So I don't know. I'm not like going too much on a limb on this one. It's more like, look at these shitty matchups. Fuck. All right, well.
Every once in a while, like just the worst teams, i.e. Chicago and San Jose, who kind of deserve each other as bottom feeders, it might not be terrible because it's 2 AHL teams, so you might get a good AHL game that needs overtime or a shootout. That was one that I was looking at, but I was like, there's better games on the board to bet.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, we definitely, not last week. Last week, I feel like we had kind of a crappier schedule. This one, a bit more marquee matchups, right? So if you're going to go through and kind of highlight things, I think there's a good matchup on Saturday. Sunday, if you're for some reason like, you know what I don't want to watch? March Madness. You know what's boring? College basketball. I want to watch Leafs Hurricanes at 4 o'clock. Like, that's a pretty decent matchup, right? And like some of these other matchups, like Penguins, Avalanche, at this point in the season, when you're looking ahead, you're like, that probably could have been cool. Oilers, got Senators. Some good hockey on Saturday or Sunday, right? So maybe in between college basketball, if you're on the couch, it's worth a while. It's worth pointing out. It's not a terrible reason. Maybe there's a snowstorm in your city and you're just going to sit and watch TV all weekend.
Yep, sometimes you got to make sure the couch doesn't fly away.
Winner. So that wraps up the puck for the week. Good job.
It might wrap up most of the show, but the Canada Puck Podcast would not be the Canada Puck Podcast without our babe of the week. We are going back to the the depths of the PWHL, I think. Yes, PWHL forward Kristen Della Rovere. You can find her on Instagram at Kristen.Della, so KRISTIN.DELLA. This woman, one of the many beautiful faces that you now see skating around the PWHL. She is the Canada Puck Podcast Babe of the Week. Schwing.
Schwing! Nice. Excellent. Well done. Good job, Kirsten. You might be playing in the number one women's hockey league in this country, but you're also number one in Canada Puck's heart, for at least this week. Yay.
At least this week.
Awesome. Nice. So with that, I think that's a show. Probably back with Easter, maybe not next weekend.
Oh, that's a good point. The next weekend, scheduling-wise, might be a bit of a... Oh, that's exciting. So basically, we're going to be doing like a season wrap-up almost, because I think that's how close we would be.
Yeah, let's do a look ahead. Maybe we'll drop something in the week or something, because like Grant mentioned, guys, we're just kind of running the clock right now. Unless like your team's in that wild card spot, like we're probably not that like following, and it's one of those things like hockey, maybe not today. Postseason's right around the corner, so we'll keep you up to date. Probably another couple shows for the hockey starts, but no promises on time or date.
There you go. That's the type of guarantee you can expect from the Canada Puck Podcast.
Sweet. So that's, I believe, all we have to say is good show and party on, Grant.
Party on, Mick. We'll see everybody next week.